Hey guys, it's Dave Fishy Repeat here, and just going to do a video on using the Gannet Sport Fish Release for my Mavic Air Drone for drone fishing. Firstly, I learned pretty much everything off of Gannet. They've got their own YouTube videos. I'll throw a link down in the description that you check them out as well. Gannet are the guys that designed this release clip, and they obviously know what they're talking about, and it's really good for learning about pendulums and weight stuff that I'm not going to go into too much, so definitely check that out. Why am I doing this video? Why don't you just watch the Gannet drone video? And as I said, definitely do that. If you've been watching any of my videos or you know me on Instagram, I basically use a clip swivel religiously. They're absolutely fantastic. They just save so much time. You have all your rigs pre-rigged, you get on the water and you're away. So this video is more about how I specifically rig my rigs and set up my drone for drone fishing. Alrighty, pros and cons. Pros, this drone is tiny. And you fold it up and it goes in that little case. Doesn't impact my weight limits on my luggage. It's so easy, I can just fit it into either my camera bag, or if I really want a light load, I'll just put that in my fishing tackle bag. Super fast to set up. And most importantly for me is I actually bought this for using as a drone. And what I found out after I bought this drone was that it had the option to do drone fishing as well. So it's just an added bonus for me, and it's got 4K video. So not only are you launching a bait, but you get wicked ass footage, either when you're coming back in or launching the bait or what have you. And actually, scratch that, most importantly for drone fishing is it's extremely successful. Well, for us it's been anyway. Thinking back, it's been very hot fishing for a significant percentage of the time. It's just such a unique style of fishing where you're placing a bait somewhere between where your surf casters usually can't get to and where boat fishermen normally can't be bothered coming close enough into. I use the Navionics app to look for, holes, wells, water movement and stuff like that, structure to determine where I want to drop my baits. I can also fly my drone up, look down and see where I want to drop my baits. We've just had really good success. We've caught rig, caught snapper, we've caught kahawai, and I'm really looking forward to catching some other fish as well. And we've only taken it out a few times. It's been a heck of a lot of fun. It's just an absolute game changer. Honestly, I can't rate it any higher. It's ridiculous. Gannet are geniuses, and hence I thought it was worth actually making a video about it. So those are all the pros, and I'm absolutely wrapped with it. Honestly, I don't really want another one. The only reason I would want another one is because of the cons. Firstly, it's not waterproof, it's not water resistant. If it's raining or there's a lot of chop or surf, you could wreck your drone. And secondly, it can't take a lot of weight. I think it can hold about 350 grams, maybe 400, so about a 7-ounce max weight sinker, and then up to probably 3 hooks with little bait, and that's all you're going to get out of it. For the surf casting me and my wife do, especially when we do road trips and stuff where we just want to feed, it's absolutely perfect. So now we're going to quickly talk about how this actually works. You grab the Sport Release, you just clip that on there, boom, that's it. There's basically no electronic parts. It's fully just a physical release based on tension. Then you have a loop knot on your main trace. You get that loop, you put it in between those little ball bearings there, and at a certain tension, it'll release. So what's really important and what Gannet stress a lot, which I fully agree with, is always use the same trace on your loop knot to release off the Gannet. Once you've made your loop knot and you've got the weight you're going to use, you calibrate this tensioner here and you just wind it up or down. You want it to get pretty close to the weight of the sinker and the bait, so that if you just give it a little tug or drop the bail arm over, it drops off. So that's the drone. Now I have my actual fishing trace. This is usually a 3-hook rig. At the moment here I've got some BKKs, these little UV glow BKK hooks, which are just ruthlessly lethal. They're just absolutely fantastic. And then I've got a clip swivel on the bottom of my rig, and then I have a loop on the top of my trace. Now why I do this is because it means that when I'm getting ready for travel, I'll rig up 2 or 3 traces in a row, put them on some rubber trace holder. I've got these sinkers, I buy them from New Zealand. They're just a normal sand sinker, but these Legends put a swivel on as well, which is really good because it reduces a lot of snags and stuff in the water. So when I'm out of the water, I get there, I get my trace, I clip my breakaway sinker down, you get those tines hooked up. Now obviously I would unravel it normally, but I'm not going to do that tonight. Then I get the top of the trace and just clip that onto the bottom of my drone trace. Now the drone trace is extremely important. Not really the trace itself, although I quite like to use really thick mono so that it doesn't break off, but it's the length. The longer you have it, the less pendulum swinging effect you'll have, and the less pressure and danger to put on your drone. If you use a too short a trace, you're going to get it flicking around with a pendulum, or it's just going to really upset your drone and be swinging around and not going to be very good. Gannet, I'm pretty sure, recommend over 4 meters. Now, I started with about a 6 meter trace, but it was kind of a pain in the ass. The reason I go now to about 4 meters, or even maybe 3, is because by the time I connect my additional trace that I've got pre-rigged, which is another 1.5 meters. It all adds together and you get about 5 meters anyway. So depending on how you want to rig it, it's up to you. Now, once we've rigged our hook trace with our sinker to our drone trace, which is, as I said, about 4 meters, I put a clip swivel on the bottom, and then at the top, I use a treble swivel. Alternatively, there was a 3-way knot that Gannet talked about. I just thought this was a little bit easier because it just reduces that tangle up of nylon and stuff, and this can just all spin freely. Even when it's in the air, it doesn't kind of spin and get tangled. It'll just naturally rotate and untwist out because of a treble swivel. This piece of mono, as I said before, clips into your drone. This piece of mono is absolutely key. If you change the diameter of the mono or the weight or thickness, whatever, I always use 30-pound fluoro Black Magic. So I will always make this little mono with this loop knot 30-pound fluoro. And that's because the diameter significantly affects the release. And the lighter the trace, the smaller the diameter, the easier it is to come off and the less pressure you need. And for these little drones, I find that's really, really key. All right, so that's now connected to the drone. The drone's there, our trace is all hooked up. Now I've got our treble, and finally on my main line, which I've already rigged up already, got my mono trace, I've got my clip swivel, I clip that on there, we're now all hooked up. And that's it. Basically, we get on the beach, I rip the drone out, my wife starts setting up the rods, all these traces are already rigged, just undoing them, clip, 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 and we're in the water. Honestly, on some trips, the thing that takes the longest is actually just running the mono through the bloody eyes of the surfcaster. Now finally, for the gear I use to actually send out the bait, obviously you can use whatever reel you want. This is a Penn Live Liner 8500. I got 2 of them. They're so tough and hardy. They weigh a ton, but you can drop them on the rocks, you can dunk them in the salt water, they don't care, and they just last and last and last. Also, they got more drag than most reels. It's amazing because you've got this bait release function here. So once the bait's in the water, it can just free spool, and then once you get a fish, you lock it up, and you got 20 kilos of drag, or up to 20 kilos, which is just a stupid amount. You can scale drag in sharks, whatever you want with these. And for my rod, I just use a Tika 13'6" surfcaster, or alternatively, I use my Catch 3-piece, which is a really, really nice travel rod. Grab it actually. Hen Slammer 5500 on my Catch 3-piece travel rod. So easy to travel with. My wife and I do so many trips to do fishing all around the country and then even overseas that sometimes we prefer to just use top water setup because I can use that for top water and then for drone fishing as well. Alrighty, now most importantly, you've hooked up your drone. We just use little baits and I normally cotton them up as well. And the videos that I'm going to be doing going forward, there'll be heaps of drone fishing involved, so make sure you check them out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any comments, any adjustments or whatever, please leave it down in the comments below. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks everyone.